Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you guys are doing good. So today I am going to be reviewing the 48 Laws of Power. The 48 Laws of Power is a book by Robert Greene, and in the book he has 48 laws. And under each law, he goes in depth and he really explains about the law. And he also gives examples of what happens when you don't follow the law, or how detrimental it can be when you don't, follow that particular law. So, without further ado, let's go in. I am not reviewing all 48 laws, but I am reviewing the ones that did stand out to me, the ones that I think is going to be helpful for all of us, and it's really helpful for me, and I find it so interesting. So let's go. Law number one. Law number one is never outshine the master. It says, make your masters appear more brilliant than they actually are, and you will attain heights of power. Outshining them can spark insecurities, and sparking those insecurities can lead to them, having envy towards you. And one thing about envy creates silent enemies. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that you're working at a job, and you have a supervisor, and that supervisor, you are more qualified or have more experiences than that supervisor. And the CEO of the company comes around and is talking about a problem that has to be solved, and you have so much experience in that. If you just go ahead and start telling the CEO, like, yeah, I have a ton of experience, this is what I did, this is what I've done this in the past, I've done that, the supervisor is going to start feeling envious towards you. Why? Because they're going to feel like, okay, this person is coming for my job, this person is going to take my job, the CEO might replace me with them or promote them. So they would start gunning to get rid of you or throw you under the bus, or kind of put you in a bad situation. And you honestly don't want to be in that situation, not if you can help it. Law number 21, it says, play a sucker to catch a sucker. So since the idea of intelligence is so important to people's vanity and people's egos, when you seem dumber than your mark, you will get them to be a little bit more lax. Okay, they won't see you as a threat. For example, the example that I just gave about the CEO, supervisor, and you, so you playing dumb, not just talking about all your, accomplishments and experiences, would make the supervisor kind of look at you as dumb, and you won't be seen as a threat. So law number 9. Law number 9 is never argue to prove your point. Win through actions and never arguments. I can't stress how important this is. It's really important because in arguments, people get heated. People, their viewpoint is so tightly knitted to their vanity, so tightly knitted to their. So in arguments, people's viewpoints are so knitted tightly to their ego. So when you're arguing with them, they feel threatened. A lot of times in arguments, people start, I swear on my grandmother, I swear on my kids, and rarely will they ever accept your point of view. And so after the argument, both parties leave heated. One or both of them might be holding on to resentment. And when you think about it, it's not worth it. Let your actions speak. Win through your actions and not through arguments. So, law number 20, know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. So, when you're out, right, people watch, observe your environment, observe people's mannerisms, observe people's body languages, and really decipher and pick out and listen to what they're telling you. They will be revealing secrets about who they are. So know who you're dealing with. Know the type of things that tick them off, things they don't like, so that you don't end up doing it and be in a horrible place with them. Okay, so law number 4, always say less than necessary. If you can't control your words, you can't control yourself. And when I was listening to the audiobook, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to rewind it back and listen to it again. So always say less than necessary. If you can't control your words, you can't control yourself. When you talk too much, you end up spilling excess information, so much information that you weren't even asked. And you can end up spilling hidden secrets about yourself. And I know a lot of times, girls, we deal a lot with this. We women, we just like, we talk a lot and we just talk. But it ends up being a turn off. It makes sometimes the guys just look at us like crazy, like, damn, she won't shut up. But when you're like that, you can be around that with your girlfriends, like with your best friend, that's perfectly fine. But while you're out and about in the professional setting, or while you're out and about on a date, you know, or meeting new people, you don't want to do that because you don't want to end up spilling too much information about yourself. Matter of fact, let it be the other way around. Let them feel so comfortable to just keep spilling and talking. Because once they do that, and after they leave you, they're going to feel like, wait, they're going to feel like they lost something, because actually they did. They gave you so much information, and that will accrue to your power. So law number 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. When you open up about something, the person will want to open up to you. Why? Because they feel safe around you. So for example, right, I can just start saying, I can tell you, oh my gosh, you know, I'm dealing with so much anxiety. I am on tons of medication for anxiety. And the person or you who I'm talking to will end up feeling like comfortable, like, oh my gosh, she was able to open up to me about her anxiety and things she's dealing with. Oh, let me tell her about my sick dog, you know, because that's been on my mind, or my sick grandma, because she's been on my mind. And also when doing this, it doesn't have to be the truth. That's why I said use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. So law number 20, do not commit to anyone. People who rush to support others tend to gain little respect in the process. I hope you heard that. I know you heard that, because a lot of times, even like when we have two friends, let's say that are married to each other and they're having problems, sometimes we just rush in, and or when they try to drag us in, we just say okay, and then we take somebody's side. But what that does is it leaves a bad taste and a resentment in the mouth of the other person. And when they make up, you're just gonna be permanently at odds with them. Even if they say they've forgotten about it, they would never forget. They would not want to ever trust you again, and they might hold on to resentment towards you. So people who rush to support others tend to gain little respect in the process. And this is so because their help is so easily obtained. When you hold yourself back, you incur not anger, but a kind of respect. They're going to respect you if you hold yourself back. You're not just rushing to be, you know, Captain Save the Day, or Captain, I'm going to take this side, or Captain, I'm going to commit to you. Why? Because we humans, we always chasing what we can't grasp. We want what we can't have. So then again, I'm going to repeat, commit to yourself. Don't commit to anybody. Commit to yourself and situations that will be to your benefit and will serve you well, either short term or in the long run. Law number 25, recreate yourself. Yes, every so often you should create yourself, because you tend to, after a while, you tend to just be pretty much predictable. Learn to be the master of your image, and don't let others define you. So when you're the same, they keep seeing the same image over and over and over again, it's too common. Like, it ends up getting stale. It ends up getting boring. The perfect example I can give for this is The Weeknd. The Weeknd, he recreates his image so many times. He started out with locks, then he started with the high fade, then he has an afro, and now he has this cute little afro. So when you do that, you become kind of unpredictable, and more exciting. So, law number 34. It's one of my favorite one of my favorite laws. Law number 34 is act like a king to be treated like one. Learn to be royal in your own way. Learn to act if possible. So most of the time we train people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. When you love yourself, put yourself first, respect yourself, others tend to, or they move away, because you will not be in an environment where you would be disrespected, or you will not be in an environment where you will not where you be treated as less than you are. So if you're not a confident person, you gotta fake it till you make it. Ask yourself, how would a royal person carry themselves? And just do it. Don't complicate things. A lot of times we want to complicate things, like we start looking online like, oh my god, how do I carry myself as a royal? How do I do this? No, just be. Just be, because we already know how a royal person, or how we think a royal person would act. Go ahead and just be. Just do it. So law number 28, enter action with boldness. Hesitation or going halfway creates gaps, while boldness obliterates it. Boldness strikes fear, which creates authority. So, for example, when you're telling a lie, make sure you tell a bold lie. Yeah, make sure you tell a bold lie, because most of the time we want to believe the best in people. We don't want to believe that people are capable of horrible things, even though we know that they are. So when you tell a bold-faced lie, it's most likely that you will not be doubted, even if you're lying. A lot of times we view boldness as something that isn't natural, but neither is being timid. Timidity is not natural. It was something that we learned, maybe growing up or based on our experiences. Okay, so the sooner and the quicker that you start to act bold and confident, the quicker it just ends up being you. It just ends up being into something that is in your personality, or something about your personality. Law number 33, discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness or insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. Once you find it, make sure you turn it to your advantage. Everybody has some type of weakness or insecurity. Me, you, them, her, like everybody. And so when you find out what that is, make sure you use it to your advantage. So since we have a lot of people walking around with unhealed trauma, especially unhealed childhood trauma, you can find a helpless child in them and bring that child out to play. And what do I mean by this? I'm gonna give you an example. So let me see. Let's say we have somebody, right, who grew up in a home where their opinions was not validated, their opinions were not heard, they were not seen or heard. They were just like a fly on the wall. This person might end up growing up into somebody who is just pretty much like a ball into themselves. They tell you things like, oh, they don't like attention, they don't like to be outgoing, they don't really like to speak their mind, or they don't really have nothing much to say, and they don't really like people wasting their time listening to them. But in reality, it's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite. They want to be heard. They want to be validated. So what you do to that person is you pay that person undivided attention. You listen to them. You hang on to their every word. Make them feel like they're the only thing in the world, or they're the only person in the world that is talking, or the only person whose attention you have. And pretty much soon they will be eating out the palm of your hand, just like that. And the reason why that is so is because most of the time overt traits can reveal the opposite finding. Next law number 16, use absence to increase strength and honor. The more you're seen and heard from, the more common you appear. To them, your value decreases. So people do this a lot in relationships and dating. It's known as the term called ghosting. I know that some of us might have been the ghoster, and some of us might have been ghosted. And we know that like if that happens to us, like we feel so bad and we just want them, and we become obsessed with them. We want to start stalking them. And why is it that this works? Because we humans, we want what we can't have. We want what we can't grasp. And if you've ever been ghosted, you know how painful that is and how much that sucks. Especially if everything is going well and up out of the blue, there's no explanation, they just ghosted you. So I think it's pretty interesting. And it doesn't just have to be in dating and relationships. You can do it in, like, let's say some type of social group that you're part of. You just up and disappear. After a while, they start asking about you and start wanting to see what's going on with you, and basically, start seeking you. All right, so the next law is law number 35. It says master the art of timing, and I cannot stress how important timing is, because plans have fallen apart because they have not been implemented at the right time. You can have the perfect plan that would work out, but if you don't implement it in the right time, it just falls apart. Example of this is growing up. Let's say we want to go to a party, or we want something from our parent. We don't ask them as soon as they walk in the door from work. We let them eat their dinner. We let them have take their shower, watch their favorite show, watch the news, and when they're relaxed, that's when we ask them. And the probability of them granting our desire would be way higher than just telling them first thing of them walking in the door, or telling them, while they're so stressed at the moment. So law number 36, it says, disdain the things that you can't have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. So you choose to let things bother you. It is a choice. You choose to let something bother you. Nothing can bother you without your consent. Where your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. And the things that you desire most often eludes you. You choose to not. So let me just break down what I just said real quick. So if you disdain the things that you can't have, they kind of don't really have a power over you. When you belittle it, act like it's really not a big deal, even though at first you might feel it's a big deal, but you can choose to act like it's not. So, for example, right, you are in a social group and there's someone there that is kind of just being nasty, being shady towards your outfit or towards anything you're wearing. You can choose to engage with them. You can choose to interact with them. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice. What happens is that you guys go back and forth and you end up just being as silly as they are. But if you just smile, act unbothered, go about your business, they end up looking stupid. Remember, you have more power if you can control yourself and don't react with your emotions. So you can choose to not let that irritating offender be noticed. Consider the matter trivial and unworthy. That is such a powerful move. Act like, oh, I'm unbothered. Just imagine, will a king waste time on a peasant talking nonsense on the side of the street? A king will not waste their time to do that. They know that they're way better and beyond that. And also, there's one thing to remember. When you give something attention, or when you want to go back and forth with someone, as soon as you respond to that person, you both have an energetic agreement, an energetic bond. And that just zaps your strength. That zaps your power and your energy. And you don't want to waste time doing that. So, law number 38, it says, think like you like, but behave like others. This is so important, to think like you like, but behave like others. Most of the time, we want that validation. We want people to tell us that we are doing the right thing. And our opinions matter, but we have to learn to validate ourselves. If you're in a group and you have the opposite thinking or the opposite ideology, there's no need to be brashing or rubbing along them. No, just pretend like you believe that the same thing or agree with what they're saying. An example of this is Jesus. So Jesus, was preaching something different than the Jews originally believed. So, they were just more talking about the law, but Jesus was talking about more like love, and it's not something that they liked because that's not what they believed in at that point. And what did they do? They had Jesus crucified. So the next law is law number 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. This is one of my favorite. By holding up a mirror to their psyches, you seduce them with the illusion that you share the same values. By holding up a mirror to their actions, you teach them a lesson. For example, right? This works both ways because, like, for example, a psychologist, if you're talking to them and you're doing a lot of this, when you talk, a lot of gestures with your hand, what will happen is that as they're listening to you and they want to respond, they start doing the same. So if you want to make somebody feel comfortable or more open around you, learn to kind of mirror that behavior, but you don't have to make it obvious, but it's something in their subconscious. They're going to feel a little bit more comfortable and more safe around you. And if you want to teach people a lesson, excuse me, if you want to teach people a lesson, mirror their behavior. Most of the time, people can't eat what they dish out. So, for example, I know I don't like being around narcissists. Like, I just can't. So, the best way to deal with a narcissist is to be a narcissist around them. They cannot stand that. A narcissist will leave you alone if you're a narcissist around them. So if you know any narcissists, comment down below if you try it and let me know how it goes. So the next law is law number 46. Law number 46 says never appear too perfect. Never ever appear too perfect because you then create envy. And then, as I said earlier, envy creates silent enemies. Display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and more approachable. A lot of females deal with this in the workplace, especially when they work with a lot of women and the women feel like, oh, this person is really, really beautiful, but they act perfect, like their shit don't stink, or then they tend to kind of gather up against the woman. But if the woman shows them like, oh, I'm human, I'm just like you, I'm gonna copy some of your mannerisms and things, then they feel comfortable like you're not perfect. And sometimes guys feel so intimidated. Like a lot of my male friends have told me this. They feel intimidated when they're around like a very beautiful woman that seems perfect, because they just feel like she's just out of the world, so godlike. But then if that lady has a quirky laugh or like an imperfection on her face or on her finger, or her smile is imperfect, they feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, okay, she's more human. I can relax, I can relax a little bit. So the last law on my list is law number 47. It says, do not go past the mark that you aimed for. In victory, know when to stop. Because a lot of times we can really self-sabotage. We can really self-sabotage. For example, right, let's say you have a goal, right? The goal is to be completed at the end of the month. Okay. So you have a goal, and this goal is to be completed at the end of the month. So what do? You break the goal down into smaller and smaller goals. One goal for each day. The first day you kill the goal. The second day you kill the goal. Third, fourth day you're crushing it. On the sixth day you're like, man, I'm crushing it too much. You know what? I need to double. I need to triple it. What happens after that, after a while, is that you become tired. It becomes redundant. It becomes boring. It might even feel too challenging for you. And what's going to happen? You end up just dropping it, and you're like, you know what, maybe this is just not it for me. And then you end up feeling bad because you did not complete your goal, as opposed to if you had just done one goal every day. So guys, that is my review of the book. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section which one was your favorite and which ones you tried out. And if you want to get the book, you can get it for free online. Just type in The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. You can also listen to the book on YouTube. Just type in the 48 Laws of Power, and there's so many channels that have uploaded the audiobook. So thank you so much for listening, guys. In the description below is my Instagram, my Facebook. Feel free to check out all the videos on my channel. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. Peace and love. Namaste.